Talmor, Shishin Marachi. Talmor is my home. My family have worked the land for generations. My gran says the island does not belong to us, but we belong to the island. And we must be ready, for a great evil is coming, and death follows with it.
Listen and subscribe to the latest season of Undertow, The Harrowing, a Storyglass production presented by Realm, available wherever you get your podcasts.
Don't you love it when you find a new podcast you really like? Well, let me recommend one. It's called Something You Should Know. I'm Mike Carruthers, the host, and in every episode, you'll hear fascinating information that will make your life better from top experts. Recently, we've done episodes on why you have the personality you do, the science of luck, and the psychology of a restaurant menu. You're going to like Something You Should Know. We have literally thousands of 5-star reviews. Look for Something You Should Know wherever you get your podcasts.
Oh, hey!
Oh, my goodness.
Everybody.
Hello.
Hello.
Here we are. Oh, wow. Are you ready to talk about intervention, Jenny?
I've been ready to talk about intervention since approximately September 2016.
Yeah.
I've been waiting for this moment.
Did you know back in September 2016 that you would get to talk about intervention with not only me, Kristin Russo, but with the incredible Alanna Bennett?
I had no idea.
Yeah.
How could I have known that it would be as glorious as all this?
We learned in our episode last week that featured Alanna Bennett, Ira Madison III, and LaToya Ferguson that Alanna is a Spike fan. And so we were like, knock, knock, knock. Hey, Alanna, do you want to talk about intervention with us? And we were delighted when Alanna said yes. So you are going to hear the three of us dig into intervention. In just a moment, Alanna Bennett, if you don't know, is a writer on the CW's Roswell, New Mexico. It's always fun to have a perspective from someone who is in the writer's room. So you'll get some fun thoughts from Alanna from that vantage point as well. But Jenny, before we get into the episode, I'm not sure if you remember, speaking of months and dates, I'm not sure if you remember May of this year. You know, could have been 2 months ago, could have been 5 years ago, could have been 463 centuries ago. It's impossible to say. But we aired Forever back in May of 2020, and we did a sexual tension award poll, and people have just been waiting to hear the results. Who won?
Yes, of course. The Sexual Tension Awards of Season 5, Episode 17. Forever. Let me just pull down this leather-bound book from the shelf and riffle through the pages.
Riffle.
I'm riffling.
I hear the riffling. Yes, right, great audio design, soundscaping.
And let me just blow the dust off of it.
Before we started,
let me get my spectacles and polish them.
Before we started recording this intro, I was like, Jenny, we just have like 3 main points to hit. So I think we're going to have like a nice, concise intro. Okay. If your riffling is done and your book is dusted, will you please tell us who the fuck won the Sexual Tension Awards?
Squint down at the page and the now long faded ink from my fountain
I'm literally
pen.
going to make my way to Los Angeles just to kill you in about 3 seconds.
Wow! Great disappointment. Very sad. Coming in 4th place with only 5% of the vote. It's Gora, and Gora. But honestly, the fact that the Gora got 5% of the vote is a sign of perhaps, more demonic things to come.
Yes, it's true. The Gora is 5% creating new Goras, so.
And then in 2nd place, I can't believe actually that this coupling beat the Gora. With 14%, it's Xander and Anya. I guess Anya is pulling all 14% of that vote, probably. Forgot this guy ever even came to town because it's been so long. In 2nd place, it's Buffy and Angel with 39%.
They almost did it.
Of the vote.
But not here.
And who else could have possibly taken this? who else could have landed in first place but Willow and Egg Boobs with 42% of the vote. Now, it's going to be complicated for us to send a trophy to the Egg Boobs, I think, because at this point they have long decayed and have fertilized the earth.
Well,
they've gone on to,
but if you
some
think,
different state of being.
I mean, we could probably send that award to one to Willow, obviously, and one to like the great grand chicken of the chicken who laid the egg.
Okay.
Okay, wow. So congratulations to Willow and the Egg Boobs. This, our Buffering the Vampire Slayer audience, I feel, is really described here in this poll where Willow and Egg
what a
Boobs
beautiful spectrum.
can win against Buffy and Angel, and like Angel's one reappearance in the season. Okay, before we get into the episode, we also want to tell you about some really exciting things that are happening here at Buffering the Vampire Slayer. In this episode, you're going to hear us talk about a new producer who we're working with. Her name is Alba Daza, and you're going to be hearing from her inside of the podcast as we move forward here. But Alba is an emerging writer, director, podcaster. She lives in Montreal, and she's going to be working with us starting in this episode and moving forward. She's going to be helping us with production, and we are so excited to have her. And you're going to hear more about sort of like how she came into the fold here at Buffering the Vampire Slayer, because it's a pretty fun and I think powerful story of the way that we found each other and how she started working with us. Also, we mentioned working with a consultant and facilitator. We're working with Mackenzie McDade. Both Alba and Mackenzie, their main focus in working with us is helping us to make the base of this podcast anti-racist. I have worked with Mac in various capacities over the years, and I'm so excited that she's working with us. She's going to be facilitating our first reading and discussion group in July, and she's also consulting with us on a lot of the work that we're doing here that you can read about if you haven't already at bufferingthevampireslayer.com/justkeepfighting. Mac is a 31-year-old queer woman of color. She's a teaching artist, a feminist, a part-time poet, and in her words, a general rabble-rouser. She's really brilliant. And so we just wanted to take a moment to introduce Mac and Alba to all of you and to say how excited we are to have both of them here working with us. So hell yeah, hooray, and more to come on both Mac and Alba as we move forward. But Jenny, for now, are you ready to cry and cry and cry and cry when we get to the end of this episode?
Fucking am.
Great.
I really am.
Holy shit. I can't wait to get out of this intro where it's just you and me and get into the episode where it's you, me, and Alanna Bennett.
Get out of the intro and into the ep. And welcome to Buffering the Vampire Slayer, a podcast where we are watching and discussing every episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer one at a time, spoiler-free. I'm Jenny Owen Youngs.
And I am Kristin Russo. And this week we're talking about Season 5, Episode 18, Intervention. Please stay tuned at the end of this episode and the end of every episode for a song written by Jenny, recapping the Buffy episode that we are discussing. Somebody else is digitally here with us today. Who might it be? You might recognize their voice from simply 1 week ago. Hi, Alanna.
Hi.
Alanna Bennett is here with us because you let it slip, Alanna, that you were a Spike fan. And so Jenny and I were like, oh, well, there's an episode that kind of features Spike a little bit coming up.
My sweet, terrible, problematic ancient man.
I love and hate him equally. I think at one point in this episode, the Buffy Bot says, he is evil, but you should see him naked or something. And I'm like, man, that pretty much...
That's the thesis statement.
Spike's thesis statement. Anyway, Jenny, tell us who wrote and directed this episode.
Sure. Well, as we all know, Intervention was written by Jane Espenson and directed by Michael Gershman, was originally aired on April 24th, 2001.
Yes, and this is the one. I'll give you the IMDb description. A weary Buffy seeks to regain focus by embarking on a quest with the first Slayer. Spike cavorts with his very own Buffy Bot, in quotes. I think it really is a Buffy Bot. And Glory instructs her minions to spy on Buffy's friends in the hopes of ascertaining the key's true identity. A very wordy IMDb description this week. This is the one with the Buffy Bot, and also, Alanna, you may not know this, but this is the one that makes Jenny sob hysterically crying at the end. She's very emotional about this episode.
This is the one. The body was 2 episodes ago.
And this is the one.
When a complex undead being, can show us every single thing that he has to offer in the span of 45 minutes, from the lowest low, the creepiest creep, to the purest self-sacrifice, I must faint and weep.
He's trying.
He is. He's so trying. Complicated.
It's the sexiest thing, and I think that's what makes a heartthrob, in my opinion. From Nick Miller to Pacey Witter, it's what makes a heartthrob is that even if they're garbage, they're trying.
Oh God, it has weaved its way through all of our brains over the course of time. Thanks a lot, media.
That's what screws us over in real life, because then it's like, well, this garbage man, maybe he'll try.
Right.
But you don't know that he's actually going to try.
Yeah, you have to invest time and emotional energy into discovering whether or not he'll try. And by the time you find out that he won't, it might just be too late.
Yeah.
Also, I told you that Alanna Bennett was here with us, but I didn't even say who you were. I'm assuming and hoping that you listened to last week's episode with Alanna and Ira Madison and LaToya Ferguson. If you didn't, hit pause, go back and listen to that one, please. But Alanna, you are a writer on Roswell, New Mexico, so you know a little bit about television and a little about being in the writer's room.
I do love me some feelsy sci-fi fantasy.
I have a question, if I may. I recently, inspired by LaToya, I just started watching The Vampire Diaries for the first time. And Roswell, New Mexico is also a CW show, right?
Yes. In the Julie Pleckverse.
Oh my gosh, in the Julie Pleckverse. Okay, so is it as horny as every other show on the CW?
Oh, yes.
Great. Okay. Yes. Great. Amazing.
Showing it to my mother in the second episode of Roswell ends with a montage of sex scenes. And so it was just me and my mom sitting there hey, this is what I'm writing for.
Look what I made, Mom.
It's all on Netflix.
Great.
That's my plug.
Great.
Amazing.
Great.
So do you want to start before we dive headfirst into this very rich with Spike episode? You mentioned you're a Spike fan.
Yes.
And I'm wondering, do you want to tell us a little bit about how you came to the series and, about your feelings on Spike?
Yeah. I feel like I had 2 kind of distinct Buffy eras. One was when I was a tween and all I watched was Charmed and Gilmore Girls on the WB. And so sometimes when that wasn't airing, Buffy would be airing, and I'd catch long marathons on Saturdays when I had nothing to do, which was every Saturday. And I would just catch some very salacious things as throughout the seasons. It took me a while. I didn't have the full narrative, but I had just random wild sex scenes that I'm sure you'll get to.
I was going to say, Alanna, you were doing so well. If you listened to the episode last week, it means that you have watched the series because it's spoiler full. And so I asked you because I wanted the people who maybe couldn't listen because of spoilers. And you're doing such a good job navigating
around them. But just know there are some things that my 13-year-old brain saw, and I just had so many questions. I still have questions. But it's also magnificent, and you'll get there. But yeah, so I got it piecemeal through that, and then when I hit college, I actually fully watched it all the way through and really fell in love with it and really was inspired by all of the things narratively that it did, some of them pioneering. Yeah, and then I've just been a stan ever since, and I've been introducing as many people as humanly possible to it because I feel like it is that kind of life-changing show for a lot of people.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love it so much. And Spike is just time and again like one of the most compelling creations, especially considering that he wasn't even supposed to be a long-term feature on the show. He just was that magnetic and amazing that they had to make him that.
Totally. Also, I want to let you know, you mentioned Charmed, and after last week's episode, we've gotten a lot of messages. I'm just simply begging for you to do a Charmed podcast.
Oh my God. Literally my dream. I watched that show over and over and over again for my entire life.
All right. So let's jump in here to this episode. We get like the previously on is very funny. It's like, so there's a key, there's a crush, and also there's a robot. So that's how you get in. And it's been a minute since we've been in the feed, but the last time we were here, it was forever. So like we are like fresh off of losing Joyce, mourning Joyce. And I mean, smart, I would think, from a person who doesn't write for TV's perspective, but like a smart way to get like funny Buffy in an episode where we don't have funny Buffy.
Yeah, it really is. Although it is, every time it jars me because you are so much in the trauma of that moment, and then it's like, hey, I have a sex bot. That's the next episode.
Yeah, and so the first scene opens with Giles cooking and cleaning and
doing dishes. Love to see it. Hot dad in the kitchen.
Do we have any like theories on what we think Giles made Dawn and Buffy for dinner? Like what's Giles cooking?
Bangers and mash.
Yes,
okay.
that was my I was like,
okay.
A full English for dinner.
Just like scones.
Breakfast for dinner. Ooh, yeah, scones.
For some reason, I feel, and I'm just basing this off of like what I saw in Giles's apartment kitchen, that like maybe he just heated up some fish sticks for them.
Yeah,
you know.
I feel like, but I also
no.
Part of me thinks that he's like, you're gonna have the most nutritious meal of your entire life.
Yeah, I know. I'm going to get in trouble. I could tell that like all of the listenership just got so mad at me when I even suggested that Giles would fucking defrost fish sticks. But I just...
No, I feel like his pasta dad.
Pasta dad?
Yeah, like deluxe pasta, you know? Like, there's something kind of like romantic about pasta, but also like very like wholesome.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Or
like
maybe Giles is the type who like got really into like cookbooks and like world cuisine in that very early 2000s way and was like trying to bring in some other perspectives, but like kind of bumbling about it because he's Giles.
Yeah, and so you know the like cornerstone of the episode, like the thing that drives this whole episode is that Buffy is like in the wake of grief, and in that wake of grief, she's just like, I can't do this anymore. Like, I think that slaying has made me too hard, and like I don't know how to love. And what if my mom didn't know that I loved her, and like Riley left because I couldn't love him, which is not true, but that's like another argument for another time, perhaps.
Isn't it just so interesting that Buffy says, I was never there for Riley, and Riley left because I was shut down? Isn't it fascinating?
Alanna, I hate to bring you into this, but Jenny...
Alanna, I don't like go out of my way to like Riley. I just feel like by default, he has like garnered a lot of like ire and venom from the fandom, like greatly disproportionate to like everyone else that Buffy is partnered with, except for Parker, of course. It just feels like out of balance. So like I've been I've been pushing for a lot of conversation around just sort of like what's going on here.
I feel that. I don't hate Riley. I don't love Riley, but I don't hate Riley the way that a lot of people do.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like
yes,
in a lot of ways he was something that she really needed, and something like stable and like Captain America-y. I kind of like the Captain America vibes that he has sometimes. I hate Riley's ending because I really just like any story about like men who cannot handle being around like a woman who has a lot of her own life going and a lot of her own strength going, and that being a threat to him. That's where he grates at me. But everything else, I'm like, okay, this was a very important and probably the most healthy relation. It is I think the most healthy relationship that Buffy ever has, which just stands for something.
Totally. I think that we can like collectively get behind. Although like the bar is on the floor.
And it is like, it's interesting the way that the ending of that positions Buffy for where we are now in the show, like for everything, and like this analysis of herself. In some ways, she's being like so massively unfair to herself because, like, if you watch the show, like, who could say that Buffy is not full of love always?
Totally,
and
like,
interesting.
That's how I feel about this moment that she has. Like, I know it's how she's feeling inside, but I don't think it's a fair assessment of like why Riley left. I think what you just said, Alanna, about like sort of the cornerstone of why he left is more accurate, and she's just feeling
He's a little baby.
Yes, yes. Thank you.
I'll allow it.
Oh, so anyhow, Giles is like, this is the way to solve this. Like, you have to go on a quest. And we were talking a little bit before we started taping because, Alanna, you had memories from the episode with the cheese man, which is Restless. And that's the last time that's really like the last time that we went on a quest, even though I'm not sure they like labeled it a quest, but it was like Restless is the episode there where they like sort of all are asleep and they're journeying through various dreams. And it's the first time that we meet Sinea, the first Slayer. And then this is the next time that we are seeing Sinea. So I will get into it like when we get to that part of the episode a little bit more, but I watched the back end of Restless, like Buffy's dream segment of Restless, and where we get like some words from Sinea just to like piece it together with this. And it was very interesting because I forgot how much foreshadowing there is in that episode. And like watching it back to back with where we are in season 5 was like, whoa, fuck. Like they really knew what the fuck they were writing in terms of like arcs so well and so detailed.
Giles says that this is a place where like Slayers have traditionally gone to learn about themselves. What are the odds that it would be driving distance from Sunnydale, California? That's fucking interesting.
It feels like when like Voldemort only put his Horcruxes like around the UK. Like, it's like that man didn't think that like he could cross some borders.
Yeah. It's so true. And like, you know, there was a time when Slayers weren't in Sunnydale, but like there were planes, but there was also a time when there were Slayers that were not in Sunnydale where like that would have been their whole life would have been voyaging.
Like, I'm going to the Americas, to the Western America.
Seriously. Yeah, good point, Jenny. Much more astute than one of my observations, which was when the convertible sort of like pulls up into the desert. I was like, I imagined them having like their iPhone in the car to like have gotten there. And then I was like, oh, right, they don't have that. Like, did they print out Yahoo Maps?
Yeah.
To get
or like MapQuest. Wait, was MapQuest even around in... Oh, I guess 2001.
Yeah, 2001 I think was probably a pretty solid MapQuest year. But like, you know, did they have their little papers? Like, this is how you get to Joshua Tree.
Yeah, do you think Giles and Buffy like bickered over the maps? Yeah. Giles is probably very picky about how you hold and read maps.
Oh,
I don't know.
100%.
Like something about him.
But before we get deep into the desert and this quest with mountain lions and fire and Sinea, we get the fucking Buffy Bot, which is how the next scene opens up. Alanna, I'm wondering, do you have a memory of like watching this episode for the first time? Do you your initial feelings on the Buffy Bot?
I think that when I watched it, it was very much like it was like an Oberlin undergrad. I took a class on Buffy my freshman year that was taught by other students. We did like excos that were like, if you could express, like I taught one on Harry Potter. If you expressed a passion and knowledge in a subject, you could just like gather with other classmates and like have a syllabus type discussion. So that's what I did with Buffy. I joined a class on it. So it was very much like Oberlin undergrads who like just learned the like term hegemony. That was my first like watch through of full watch through of Buffy. So that's the context with which I saw the Buffy Bot. So it was all very like, well, you know, problematic. Like, power dynamics, right. Stuff like that. That's where I first approached it, and also just that it did come it just always sticks for me that it's 2 episodes after The Body. And The Body is, you can tell how dark my brain is. The Body is my favorite episode of the series.
Yeah.
And then it's just this.
Right. I'm with you, by the way, with The Body, especially after my first watch through. I was like, there is no better episode of television than this episode of television. Right. So I agree. But yeah, yes, Jenny, the Buffy Bot feelings.
Well, I think it's interesting that we like pivot from the previous scene where like Buffy is like practicing saying that she loves Dawn so that she remembers to tell Dawn that she loves her so that, you know, God forbid. And then, you know, Dawn's kind of like, eek. And Buffy says, well, weird love's better than no love. And then we like cut to the unveiling of the Buffy Bot. And it's sort of like, okay, just like zooming way out. Is Spike creating like a sex bot with like very specific and sophisticated programming to have a thing with like inherently wrong?
Right.
No, I guess. No, but like
to build a machine, a generalized machine for pleasure is not wrong.
Right. Sure, yeah. Get wild, dude. But making it identical to making it identical to a person that you know, and then staying in the town where she and her friends live.
Right.
And I don't know, opting to have like public cemetery sex. Like it just doesn't seem like very well thought out.
Yeah.
It's very much not. It like part of it does feel endearing because it is like
you like almost choked on that word.
Because it is like he's not just like, hey, give me like what are they called? The little like vaginas in a
a
fleshlight?
A fleshlight.
Fleshlights, vaginas.
If only you could have seen Alana's hand motion that we got to see.
You could probably imagine it, actually.
Yeah, it's not like he's just doing that. And it's not like it's just like a doll that like just like sits there. He actually wants fake conversations with Buffy. But also he has this weird like where it's like he wants her, it's like more simpering than Buffy is, which I don't think is what actually attracts him to her usually. So that's where it feels especially like she's more submissive than I think is why he fell for her.
Totally.
If he had the bot for like more than one episode, I think he would be like regularly reprogramming it to like dislike him more and more because I think he's just like really into how much Buffy despises him.
Yeah, 100%. I think, you know, to what you were both just saying, the bot that Warren built was built also as like more than just a physical companion, like according to Warren, right? That it was built as a girlfriend, that he wanted somebody to love and somebody to love him back. And this has like a tinge of that. I mean, they obviously like it's Spike, so the bulk of what we are getting is sex. But I also like, you know, Jenny, you said he'd probably keep reprogramming it to make it meaner. And I also think that like he'd probably wind up having sex with the Buffy Bot a lot fucking less if the Buffy Bot were to have stuck around.
Yeah. And also it makes sense that the default programming, considering it came from Warren, is this like much more submissive, like, oh my God, you're so like hot and just that's all I care about. Because that's much more Warren than it is Spike.
Totally. Spike is to even taking this like much more simpering version of Buffy and still being like, but I would like to be a bottom, please. Can I?
Yeah, exactly. Because Spike, even with Drusilla, like that's not who he is in romance.
No.
Like he wants somebody who like he's that person to other people. Like he's like, you are my everything type of guy.
Yes. He's the peroxide puppy dog. And you know, he has a lot of problems, he's got a lot of shit, but just like
badly
in caricature, he's like the blonde-eyed puppy dog. Sarah Michelle fucking Gellar as the Buffy Bot, just like,
oh my God.
I can't. It's so fucking good. Like her first line is just like, Spike, oh Spike. That is her entire line. And it is like award fucking winning.
She looks a little shiny to me. You know, a touch of plasticine.
Spike? Oh, Spike.
She'll do.
She showed up for this episode. She was like, I'm going to show you.
So we go to Glory's and she's like, Ben's getting too strong. Find me the fucking key. We know it's a person. So like activate the spy minions. Like they're all just like, they all put on their little fucking trench coats and their hats and they go out into the world to spy. Jenny, there's a song for that, isn't there?
There is. Detective Minions. They've got magnifying glasses. They've got notepads. They've got binoculars. They've got sunglasses. They are ready to detect from afar.
They're so... listen, like, no offense to the fucking minions, but they are not good at their job. And I don't understand how Glory, a god, got this crew as her, like, backup. They fuck up everything they do.
Aren't there so many, like, subs in the demon world who just want to
serve a god around? Right? Yes.
Well, we don't know how long she's had these minions. What if, when she was thrown out of her hell dimension, she, like, received kind of like a demotion in terms of like what kind of minions she got to have?
Like she had to trade in her godlike minions for these guys?
Yeah,
I just... You know, and in this episode too, like, we'll talk more about the big fight scene, but the fucking minions, like, best Spike. Like, they take Spike, right. And I'm like, these minions could barely, like, get to Ben in the hospital without getting, you know, stabbed, let alone beat Spike? No.
Yeah, there's a lot of them, but I feel like we've seen Spike fend off that many, like, worthy adversaries in a clip.
Something that I just want to talk about real quick that has to do with the Buffy Bot and programming is also how Spike has the way that Spike envisions himself as sexy, like cold, muscular body and like, you know.
His marbled flesh, like that type of
yes. Oh, it's just like very delightful for me to think about him sitting down at his desk and like writing the script of like what Buffy would, like what she would find attractive. And he's like, I have muscles and I'm cold. I am a big bad. Been a big bad for a long time.
Emphasis on big sometimes. So do you think that Buffy and Giles called each other while they were packing for their trip and they decided to both wear their long matching suede jackets that are brown to the desert?
1,000%.
That's their desert look.
Yeah.
Okay. Giles has to perform a ritual to transfer guardianship of Buffy.
Would you maybe call it Gordianship?
You could call it Gordianship. This also like has a whiff of the patriarchy about it, although we recognize Giles as a beloved paternal figure.
Yes.
He also says...
Hold on. You got to pause for the fucking jingle.
The patriarchy! Giles tells Buffy that it takes more than a week to bleach bones. And I want to let you know that I did some Googling.
Oh my God.
And there's not like a lot of readily available information about how long it takes for the sun to bleach bones. There is a lot of information about how to bleach bones yourself. And the sun is not a recommended method because it speeds up the disintegration of the bones.
Oh.
There's like a lot of like, you know, liquidy processes, as you might imagine.
Involving bleach.
But if anyone... Sorry.
Involving bleach.
Oh, yeah. A reasonable assumption. If anybody out there listening knows how long exactly or approximately it takes for the sun to bleach bones by the power of its sunniness, please write in and let us know. Do let us know. Thank you.
BufferingTheVampireSlayer@gmail.com.
This just makes me want to know, like, my TV writer brain is immediately like, what assistant had to like do this research when the internet was still very young? Did they have to call somebody? Did they have to pull out like massive encyclopedias? Like, what is that like in the, like, not pre-internet, but like early GeoCities internet era?
Yeah. Yes.
You know, what's wild is the first search return, when I looked up how long does it take for the sun to bleach bones, was a screenwriting like resources website that may have actually been from the GeoCities era because it would not load. So I couldn't collect any actual information from it, but apparently it's on a lot of screenwriters' minds.
Can I tell you a little bit about gourds since we're here in the land of the gourd? First of all, like many, many, many accolades to Tony Head for his jumping into the circle, jumping out of the circle, and shaking the gourd.
Incredible.
Right? It's just like...
It's right up there with Giles in the... when he opens the magic shop. Is that season 6?
No, it's open.
Yes, where he just like is in his outfit when Buffy opens the door and they just like agree not to talk about it.
Oh my God.
It's one of my favorite Giles moments, and this is like right up there.
Wizard Giles. It is, because it's like, that's such a fucking amazing parallel, because it's the same exact like emotional space that he's in, where he's like, I need to do this for myself, and I know you're gonna judge me, and like it's okay because that's what I have to do. So I did a little bit of research. We have a new producer working with us on the show, Alba Daza, who is wonderful, and was like, you should really look into gourds, because I think they're a big deal in many places and across time and what have you. And so we did some research together, and honest to God, like the like origin of gourds, like they sort of originated in 2 places, in Southern Africa and then also in Asia. And they're like 13,000 to 11,000 BC are the dating for these gourds. And yet, like the more I read about gourds, the more it seemed like across the globe, everyone knew they were important before anyone had the ability to communicate with each other. So like it just is like a very powerful thing. I also found that there's an American Society of Gourds, and if you go and look them up, you can find their meeting minutes, and they're full of gourd puns. And oh my God. It was truly like one of the best moments of my life. Like
these gourd heads are having so much fun.
Yeah, they really are. But yeah, there's this huge, I mean, I'm sure a lot of you maybe already knew this, but I did not realize how like globally important, like from, tens of thousands of years ago, gourds have always been in so many places, in so many cultures. And so I just wonder, like we, believe in like God, but what if the whole time we just like in one translation of a text, it was actually gourd this whole fucking time.
Like in gourd we trust.
In gourd we trust. Yes. That's what I'm saying. It's real close. And it just seems like, I don't know, there's a lot more data about the history of gourds than the history of God. That's all I'm saying. Listen.
Can I tell you something
Please.
About gourds?
Please.
Okay. I was
Alanna, I hope you brought something to tell us about fucking gourds, because that's what this podcast is.
I don't have anything yet, but I'll try to think of something.
I was scanning over this document created by the American Gourd Society at theamericangourdsociety.org. The title of the document is Most Important Plant in All of Human History.
Yeah.
Oh. And there's some freaking uses in here. I mean, there's stuff you might expect. You can eat the gourd before it, dries out to a hard, hollow shell. You can also use it to, scoop stuff up, kind of expanding the, amount that you could hold in your hand or whatever. They also have been used for, okay, are you ready? Penis protection, like jockstrap vibe. I guess you have to very carefully select
the original
gourd.
jockstrap and the gourd.
Exactly. Yeah. And then you've got to account for like shrinkage when it dries out and everything. I'm sure a process.
But protect a penis? I thought a jockstrap just like held a penis.
I think the jockstrap holds the cup in place, right?
Okay. So it would be the cup that is the gourd.
Right.
I'm sorry.
I'm so glad we're spending so much time on. I'm sorry. Okay. There's a whole bunch of other stuff you can use them for flotation devices, wheels for wheelbarrows or wagons. Okay, then are you ready for a very fast rattling off of various musical instruments?
Great gourd pun with the rattling.
Using gourds.
Yes.
Okay, when we started talking about gourds, I was like, oh yeah, kalimbas and marimbas and xylophones, they all can utilize gourds as kind of like resonance chambers to kind of like amplify the sound and elongate the decay of a note that's being played. But you've also got horns, flutes, drums, maracas, lutes, banjos, koras, sitars.
Wow.
And a bunch of other stuff. Okay. I got a little too excited because I can't wait to get to my final point, which is that gourds can be used or have been used to replace pieces of skull during cranial surgery. Ooh.
Wow. I'm so glad we got back into brain surgery territory. I didn't see it going there.
Yes.
Fantastic.
It's long.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, listen, there's a lot to learn about gourds is what I have realized over the past 48 hours of my life.
Vast history.
They massive. Anyhow, Giles does what you said. He transfers, and this is weird anyway, like transferring guardianship of a woman is just fucking weird to begin with, but also like he doesn't have guardianship. Like in what?
Right. Didn't they get rid of that?
Yeah. He's not the Watcher anymore. And they said, go screw you to the Watchers Council. So I don't like, it feels like there's a little bit of like lines being drawn that are a little wiggly. But regardless, Buffy begins her quest. So Giles does this chant to like start the quest that is actually, so most of, I'm sure that you know this, Alanna, from watching Buffy, like 98% of any magic is Latin. It's just like the default language that is used for magic in this show. This chant is in Swahili, which is the official language in Kenya, Tanzania, Uganda. It's spoken in many places in Africa. And it's like, we're going into the desert. We're going to meet the first Slayer. The chant is in Swahili. There's just a lot of like points in this whole scene that are problematic. And Sanaya in like as a character, I mean, this will I'm sure resonate with both of you that like we can't talk about Sanaya's full existence, which makes it hard to talk about like her in like the fullness of her problematic existence. But I will say that we just got the okay and yay from Sharon Ferguson, who plays Sanaya, to do an interview, and that fucking interview is going to be full of spoilers.
Cool.
Yeah, so we're really excited about that.
I'd love to hear her thoughts. Yeah, but even just like the image of her in this episode is very like primitive in like a very archetypical way where I don't feel like they actually did like research into like a certain era of like if she was from Kenya like many eons ago, like what she would have worn, what she would have looked like I feel like they did not do any of that homework. I think the main homework was calling up a translator for the magic.
Right. Like they got the words in the chant, in case you want to know what it means, that Giles speaks is that which I am pledged to guard and guide, I hand over to you, lead her to a place of safety and learning, give her that which she needs, show her the path. And also like having gone back to the end of Restless, where we first really like meet Sanaya, who is really mostly just referred to as the first Slayer. They very rarely even use her name, but she has had a voice for like half of 1 second. It's like she had the guide's voice via Terra in Restless, and in this episode, she is a vessel again. She's just sort of like the thing that's carrying the message to Buffy. And also, it seems like this message, like the message that Sanaya wanted to give Buffy in the episode Restless, was like, you're just you're just fighting and you're just death, and like you shouldn't have friends and you need to do this alone. And that was very much shut down. Like the end of that episode is them being like, yeah, you don't tell me who I am and you can't like, literally screw you, despite the fact that you're the fucking first Slayer. Like I don't have anything to learn from you. And now it feels like her, like, again, like her body is being used to tell this message of like, you're full of love and like you can blah, blah, blah. And it's like, it not only is it complicated for the reasons we talked about, but it also seems really complicated because it seems like Sanaya is being used to deliver a message that Sanaya doesn't fucking believe would be true anyway.
Yeah, it's kind of the problem of having a character who's just there. Like it's clearly just there to, not for her own purposes as a character, but just to steer other people in the plot.
Yes, which, again, please listen to the conversation, because some of what you and Ira and LaToya talked about to this exact point was incredible and, like, really important, because so many of the characters of color in the show are placed exactly for that purpose. That, like, they're giving us, like, this very, very, like, wide brushstroke of an idea to get us to point B, and then they're gone, and we don't talk about them or see them or hear from them ever again. So back to Anya and Xander's apartment, right? They live here together, right? Do they live here together now?
Yeah.
We're all on the same page.
I think Anya might still be maintaining her sweet little
Her
goth
autonomy.
apartment and autonomy. Yes.
Okay,
just in case.
So then we go to, I should say, Xander's apartment, and essentially we just get a little information. Anya doesn't want to fucking patrol. Tara has put up a ward, but Willow, a lot of like little undercurrents of like Willow is very powerful. When Willow gets here, she'll strengthen the ward, and so on and so forth. And
if your option is like Xander and Anya patrolling or no one patrolling,
Right.
Isn't it safer for everyone if no one patrols?
Listen, I agree with that, but also Anya does dust the fuck out of a vampire later on, so gotta give her a little
Totally.
bit. And also, Xander in the fucking ending fight scene is like kicking so much ass. We don't like to give a lot of credit to Xander here all the time, but
I feel like if you piss off Anya a little bit and like she'll kick your ass. It's just like
that's
until she's like bothered.
yeah, she's bored. Yeah. So, and we see a lot of minions minioning about. They're peeking in the window here. Dawn steals some earrings, which may or may not be a thing, but she puts them in her pocket. She's stealing. And I think like we're seeing this episode like doesn't give a lot of space to it, but like we have the rest of the series to go through, and definitely this season, it's sort of like they are in the wake of losing their mom. And so like, how does that manifest in their behaviors? And also like, how are their friends going to justify some of their behaviors because of that? Because listen, nobody would have really believed that the Buffy Bot was Buffy. They stretched that.
Like, I mean, she's just acting a little kooky because she's sad.
She's sad. So she like talks like a robot and like is literally shiny, dude.
They just encountered a robot like 5 minutes ago. We skated past 2 things that I would like to address.
I trusted you to carry us back.
Thank you. The first is that Spike's bed set appears to be like a rosy pink semi-sateen situation. Do we think that's left over from Harmony? Or do we think that's just straight up...
Yeah.
Don't you think if he didn't like it, though, he would change it?
Yes.
Oh, he loves it. That's why
fucking
her
loves
entire
it.
outfit is pink. Like Buffy's entire thing is like that same pink, like satin type of thing. He loves it.
True.
Yeah.
Okay. And then secondly, hey, we didn't talk about the fucking mountain lion.
I was waiting for you to jump in and just be like, how can we talk about the desert without talking about my favorite thing, a mountain lion, So I'm glad we're here.
I love this mountain lion. I love to see any mountain lion. It was brought up by our producer, like, is this a native animal to Southern California? Yes. There is a mountain lion that lives in the Los Angeles area named P22.
This is why I'm afraid of hiking.
Yeah, same.
I've been trying to see a mountain lion since I moved here, and
God,
it has not
the opposite
happened.
of me.
If you encounter a mountain lion, please send it
Just
my
before
way.
you run screaming in the other direction, can you text Jenny?
Please.
Also, just a little fun thing. You can see the handler in, I think, the last shot or the second to last shot with the mountain lion. You can see 2 little feet on the side, just like ready to protect Sarah Michelle Gellar if needed.
That's very cute.
Yeah. Okay, so can we go to the cemetery where the Buffy Bot runs into everyone? Because
why would he program her to do stuff that would put her in situations where like she might be propelled to do something on her own in a space where like a shared cemetery space? It just doesn't make a lot of... I just feel like...
I'm wondering if there's like a communication breakdown between Warren and Spike. Like if you think about them as people, they don't seem like they would have done very good communication. No. So probably Warren was just like, so she's a slayer, right? So I guess like he didn't ask for that, but I'll just like put that in here. That she wants to slay vampires.
Like at least make it so that like she doesn't go out without Spike or something.
Right.
Yes.
I mean, maybe Spike didn't expect to sleep because I don't think that's something that he does often.
Yeah.
But, the bot really wore him out.
Hey.
Jenny, don't you have a joke for that?
Well, as I always say, Kristin. Some like it bot. You know
Oh my
what I
God.
mean? Great.
I'm really sorry. My worst talent is like being able to redeliver a joke or even like wait for a joke to be redelivered if it's already been made. And like I just wanted to make sure it got in this episode. So you're welcome for the faulty transition.
Some like it bot. I mean, you have like set parameters. You know what to expect. You know that what you can expect is like stuff you like. There's a lot to like about bot, I guess, is my point.
I mean, a habit I think a lot of people have is like having arguments or conversations with people when they're not there, just like in your own head. If you had somebody actually around who's like a simulation to like have those conversations with, who is like somebody who you would argue with or like just really want someone to say it to.
Yes.
yes. I mean, you can like purge those feelings and move on.
This is what the movie Her is about, isn't it?
Yeah.
So please, I'm not even like, I would like to enter this scene in the cemetery with Anya's jingle.
She spent 1 millennium demonically vengeancing, speaks her mind and then some. You know she's partial to the finer things and down with double boyfriends, oh yeah. Exchanging cash for goods and also services. She'd love to hold the money for ya. She'll hold that cash. Just keep the bunnies far from Anya.
Okay, so fucking Buffy Bot knows from her programming that Anya loves money. And so she gives Anya like what Anya has been wanting for just episodes and episodes. She's just like, how is your money?
She makes Anya's day. She asks Anya, how is your money? And Anya's like, I didn't even know. I've been waiting my whole mortal life for someone to ask. Thank you so much.
Emma Caulfield.
It's fine.
I mean, her expression is like unbelievable. It's just like, oh, I want to put it in like a bottle and carry it around with me. I love it so dearly. Finally, somebody understands Anya.
I think it's like worth mentioning like the full rundown of like these POV Buffy Bot shots that we see. You know, she like looks at Xander, little Amazon fucking face recognition software kicks in, friend, carpenter, dates Anya. Anya's got dates Xander, likes money, ex-demon, all totally under control. Then we've got folders on Buffy Bot's desktop. It's a relatively tidy desktop, as desktops go. She's
only just been born. Give her a little while. That desktop is going to be a fucking mess.
She's got a slaying folder with a little battle axe on it, a locate Spike folder with a little magnifying glass on it, a make_Spike happy with a little smiley face on the folder. And this folder has subfolders that include Kissing 01, Kissing 02, Positions 01, 02, 03, 04, 05, and then you can toggle through if you'd like to see more positions. So that's as many as would fit in the screen.
Yeah.
Toggle is such an appropriate word for the era of this computer programming. Like it feels so early 2000s to toggle.
Yes.
So there's Spike comes like fucking careening around the corner and is like, fuck.
Because imagine what's in his head in that moment of like having to explain this.
Yeah. A testament to like, why did you not leave town?
Yeah. At least for like the weekend.
Right?
And then like put her in a little box. Right. Just like let her out when Buffy's out of town again.
Get like a fucking vacation crypt out in like Big Bear or something and like keep your lives separate.
I was going to say, we talk all the time about how there's definitely like an underground demon, like salons and banking, and there's just all of these ways that demons use their currencies and what have you. So I'm sure that there's like an Airbnb for demons.
Yes.
I can see.
I'm going to spend all day thinking about what
it could be called. I know. I'm like, we have to take a break. You got it.
I was about to be like, I'm going to spend all day thinking about puns for this. And you found the perfect one immediately.
What was it, Jenny?
Lair B&B.
Yes.
Beautiful.
That's a web series spinoff right there. We should start writing it.
Seriously. Please send in your puns on Airbnb for demons. Buffering the Vampire Slayer at gmail.com. We'll put up a list. Okay, so they have sex in the cemetery? I mean, do we go there? Do we? Is there anything else you want to talk about in this scene?
Why is it that vampires are always hanging out in cemeteries? Like, those three that just happen to conveniently show up are wearing suits, implying that, like, they're still maybe in the clothes they were buried in, or maybe they're just, like, business vampires. But I just feel like once you're out of your grave and it's, like, nighttime and it's time to hunt, why would you be, like, in the cemetery where everything is dead?
Solid point. Maybe the vamps we see in the cemetery are the vamps who really want to kill a slayer. You know, like,
They're just going right for it.
Yeah, they want to be the notable. They want to be in the history books. You know, their mission is fame.
My TV writing brain immediately went to this image of like multiple writers in the room being like, please, they wouldn't just hang around the cemetery. Can they please just like be in the town square or like or like the club or something? And it just being like, ugh, it costs so much money. We have to pay so many more people. It's going to be the cemetery. I'm sorry.
The true answer, the real answer.
It's the least fun
concerns.
answer. Yeah, it's the like boss manager who's just like working a calculator. Like, I'm sorry, it's going to cost $50,000.
Right. So your answer, Jenny, technically is hell math.
Hell math.
Okay, so they fuck in the cemetery to the tune of, oh, Spike, you're the biggest bad. You're the big bad. Xander, you know, he is intuitive. He deserves credit for that because he doesn't recognize...
Or even a blind pig digs up a truffle once in a while, because if he just accuses people of doing shit, namely sleeping with vampires, that's like his number one thing, eventually he'll be right.
Right. That's true.
Eventually.
That's true. But I more meant the line I like that he has is, she didn't ask about Dawn.
True.
Good
job, Xander.
Yeah. Okay. It's reported to the group that Buffy is sleeping with Spike.
Reported to the group? Why can't this grieving woman have sex with whomever she pleases?
I'm of two minds about this. Like, I agree that it gets a little bit much with the, like, Buffy, you shouldn't be doing this. You're grieving and you have no autonomy. That's a lot. But also, the line that was drawn for Spike after Crush was a very fucking firm line. So it is, you know, I have like a little space for it. I don't know. How do you feel, Alanna?
Yeah, I'm of two minds of it. It's like, you want them to, like, the whole, like, preamble of, like, well, she's grieving, she could make, like, Tara's preamble as, like, the one who knows grief, like, her in that role, and being like, oh, it's fine. No, it's not fine.
Yeah, the hard
Actually,
flip.
that's not. Yeah.
It's worth mentioning, of course, that during the cemetery fight with those vamps, the Buffy Bot is protecting Spike, and the detective minions are, over the fence spying and are like, oh, interesting. Okay. Buffy's protecting that blonde guy.
Yeah. Yeah. That blonde guy.
Accidentally stumble on good intel.
Yeah. And so, like, Xander goes to tell Spike that he's taking advantage of Buffy. Spike has, like, some really intense sex hair in this scene.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, it is must.
Like, it is
really working for me. I don't know.
Yeah, me too. I'm like, here for
it looks great.
He's just been like, he's been very like shellacked for the majority of the time that we've known him. And so it's nice to see him like letting his locks go free. But yeah, Xander's essentially like, stop it. And they don't really get to have this argument because the fucking minions come in. And like we said before, they take Spike, but I don't think any of us buy that these minions.
Right. If the bunch of teenagers in a library for many years could best Spike, I feel like the minions. I don't know.
Oh, it's always nice to think about the library. Yes, Jenny.
Here's a stupid thought I had watching this little fight. So Spike can hit the minions without getting hurt.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I was thinking about how hobbity they are. And I already hate myself for bringing up this micro tangent. But do you think that they perhaps once were human, like Smeagol, right? Who later turned into Gollum by virtue of like being in the dark and being kind of like poisoned by the One Ring. And following this little pointless thread that I regret, would Spike be able to punch a hobbit? Maybe, maybe not. Would Spike be able to punch Gollum? Probably, I think.
So
Yeah,
what is the point at which the hobbit becomes punchable by Spike is the question?
Yeah, where's the line? Also, did Spike ever punch Adam? Because parts of Adam were human.
But he wasn't a lot. They weren't like living human pieces, were they?
True, I guess, and he has said that he can like feed on a person if they're already dead.
Yeah. I mean, it's really a lot to think about.
Is it? Or something to forget quickly.
Honestly, like,
I'm just, like,
that
staring into
meme
space.
of like,
like trying to do math.
the square root symbol just like appeared above your head. Okay.
As a podcast network, our focus is bringing you shows you love to listen to. But we also sell merch related to those shows. And partnering with Shopify has made that both possible and simple for us to do. Shopify is the global commerce platform that helps you sell at every stage of your business. Whether you're selling scented soap or offering outdoor adventures, Shopify helps you sell everywhere because they've got you covered from their all-in-one e-commerce platform to their in-person POS system. What's so fantastic about Shopify is how, no matter how big you want to grow, they provide everything you need to get control of your business so you can take it to the next level. Businesses that grow, grow with Shopify. Sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/realm. That's all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/realm now to grow your business, no matter what stage you're in. Shopify.com/realm.
Support for today's episode comes from OneSkin. Did you know that your body starts accumulating senescent cells as early as your 20s? Also called zombie cells, these cells stop producing collagen and hyaluronic acid like they used to and start secreting an inflammatory substance that makes neighboring cells dysfunctional too. There is an answer for these zombie cells though, and it comes from our friends at OneSkin. OneSkin was founded by an all-woman team of scientists and is the first and only skin longevity company to target cellular senescence, a key hallmark of aging, with their proprietary OS1 peptide. It's scientifically proven to decrease lines and wrinkles, boost hydration, and help with the thinning skin that often comes with age. And for a limited time, you can try OneSkin and get 15% off using our code BUFFERING when you check out at oneskin.co. I've been using OneSkin's OS1 face and eye topicals for months now, and I have seen undeniable results. My skin feels healthier and brighter. I'm a big fan of their products, and I'm happy to recommend them. OneSkin is the world's first skin longevity company. By focusing on the cellular aspects of aging, OneSkin keeps your skin looking and acting younger for longer. Get started today with 15% off using code BUFFERING at oneskin.co. That's 15% off oneskin.co with code BUFFERING. After you purchase, they'll ask where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them we sent you.
So they take Spike. And before we go to Glory's and see all of the torture that she is going to bring to Spike, we go back to the desert and we talked about Sinea and the larger arc of some of the major problems with the character as a whole. But I want to talk about what the guide says to her via Sinea. I want to hear the speech that the guide gives to Buffy, just so we can talk about it a little bit.
I'm full of love. I'm not losing it.
Only if you reject it. Love is pain, and the Slayer forges strength from pain. Love. Give. Forgive. Risk the pain. It is your nature. Love will bring you to your gift.
It's almost as if the guide is telling Buffy that she ran away from Riley because she was afraid of love.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's what this ancient
that's what we're supposed to get out of
quest
this, right?
Yes, the whole purpose of the quest was to let her know that like she should find Riley.
Yeah.
So can I actually take a minute, since we're talking about the quest in general, to just talk about Restless for a second? Because I don't think I did, right? Like I mentioned watching it, but I don't think I talked about some of the other parallels or the other like foreshadowing moments. First of all, Tara says, and you know, those of you who watched the series already knew that these were foreshadowing moments, but we didn't get to talk about them because we can't spoil anything. So Tara, as the guide, says, "Be back before dawn." Pretty much can tell what that one is about. But also, you know, Joyce is in the wall in Buffy's dream, and she is saying things like, you know, Buffy says, like, "It seems really dirty in there," and Joyce is like, "No, it's fine." And then she's like laughing, and she's like, "The mice are tickling my knees." And so knowing that like we're going to get here in this season and that Joyce is going to have just died, like that also was very like, whoa. Riley is like fully immersed in the government. He is like sitting at the table with Adam. We know Riley went off with the government again, essentially. So there's just like so many little things, big things really, from the end of that season that are finally manifesting for us so that we can talk about them without spoiling you, because now you're here with us.
Part of what I love about this episode with Buffy in the desert is it does feel like kind of a beautiful way to frame her arc for the season.
Mm-hmm.
Like it is just like, this is the framework for which she like is taking the entire rest of the season.
Yeah.
For all of the messy things that she's going to do and everything.
Totally. And I think too, like when you get to a point in a series, I mean, I didn't watch this show in real time, but when you get to a point in a series where you can like trace back that they knew what they were going to be doing here, I feel like you really watch with a different eye. You're like, okay, so fucking everything means something in this universe.
Even right now, like I won't say what because that would be a spoiler, but like even now it's clicking into gear how much of the rest of the season is like all ties back to this one speech.
Yeah.
Like everything Buffy does just really ties to it.
Totally.
So the Buffy Bot makes her way over to Willow at Xander's, right, where everybody is slumber partying it up, to be like, Spike is missing. I woke up. No, she didn't wake up. I came upstairs and Spike was gone. I came out of the tunnel and Spike was gone. And Willow starts trying to like do her best friend business, like rationalizing, hey, Buffy, you know, I know like you've been going through a lot and everybody's probably been talking to you like you're like weak and trying to like, you know, talk around your grief and all of this stuff. And like, I know Spike doesn't talk to you like that. So I could totally understand how you could like maybe just like a one-time thing, one-off grief sex with Spike, never to do it ever again, just the one time, and it was a mistake. And the Buffy Bot's like, no, we did it like so many times. We're upside down, inside out, on the washing machine,
inside out.
Just, you know, let me show you some sketches. Let me really map it out for you.
Will's like, no. Also, like perhaps one of the more important moments of this entire episode is Willow's data that the Buffy Bot pulls up, which is Willow
recently.
Yes, and it's like gay 1999, like in parentheses 1999 to present. Yeah. Which like I came out in 1998, and it makes me want a shirt that's just like, you know, Kristin Russo, established gay 1998. But yeah, also just another little tiny thing that I enjoy is how Spike wrote Angel in. That like
Yeah. She's like, no, this Buffy Bot needs to hate Angel.
Yes. His hair, what does she say? His hair goes straight up and he's bloody stupid. Like his hair goes straight up. So it's on point, you know? He didn't even really make,
It's like anti-bangs. It's just like straight away from the forehead.
Oh my God. Fucking anti-bangs. Okay, so they're gonna go fight to get Spike back.
Right. Sorry, we hopped around a little bit, so just for clarity. So like as they're having this conversation about the Buffy Bot and Spike boning, Xander gets back and is like, everybody, these hobbits came, they stole Spike, and, you know, now like Glory has Spike, and we've got to go get him back because he knows that Dawn is the key, and he's definitely gonna tell Glory. That's what you think, Xander. Okay, so it's nighttime when this happens, and they're like, cool, we just need to go to Buffy's house and get weapons. And then it's daytime.
Okay.
They've wasted 6 hours, 8 hours. Glory's just been like jamming her fingers into Spike for hours on end.
Oh, that scene is so upsetting. Yeah. Truly. Like, I mean, it's rough to see Spike as like fucked up as he is in general, but that moment in particular where Glory like just fucking sticks her entire finger inside of his chest cavity is very like, it's not like, oh, fun monster of the week violence. It's like very, very intense violence that is effective, really. Because, I mean, you know, the intensity of that whole scene, which I know we'll talk about more, but it's really to get us to the end. Like, it can't just be like a fun, funny Buffy fight scene. It has to be like high stakes, no pun intended. It reminds me, Spike's face and sort of like the way that they convey this reminds me of Faith, when Faith is in the coma. That like the makeup and the way that they've done everything is like, you know, a lot of times they'll give Buffy like one little cut and she still looks beautiful, you know, and it's like they did not do that for Faith when Faith, you know, wound up in the hospital, and it was very jarring to see her like that. And I feel the same way about Spike in this.
I am showing Buffy to a new person recently, and like they're in the 3rd season, and they were like, Buffy never has bruises. And when she does it, they are like very like contouring her face.
Yes, they're like sexy bruises.
Slimming bruises.
Yeah. Just along the cheek line, a little by the eye. But yeah, so we should probably finish Sanea's speech, because that is obviously we heard the beginning part, but well, I shouldn't say Sanea. We should finish the guide's speech because this is not Sanea's speech. And you know, Buffy has essentially said like, "What do you mean a gift? Am I getting a gift?" And Sanea says,
"Death is your gift.
Death
is your gift."
Yeah, and Buffy's like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" I've just experienced death like firsthand, and I know that it's not a gift, and I can't possibly imagine what you would be meaning. She feels like she's gotten nothing from the quest. Truly, this is the 2nd time that she's been face to face with Sanea, and she hasn't really listened to anything that she said, whether it was Sanea directly or a guide speaking through Sanea. So take that and put it in your pocket for later, because we'll talk about it more.
The minions get back to Glory Manor and present with like very flourishy hands, like pa-pa-pa-pa-pa, the key. And Glory's like, interesting, and false, because this is a vampire and the key is pure. But they tell her about how Buffy was defending him, protecting him, and she's like, okay, interesting. Maybe I'll just have to jam my fingers into him and see if I can dig anything out.
Right.
Oh, well.
Yeah, so this whole scene, right, before we get to bloodied Spike, we see Spike sort of like getting knocked across the room by Glory. We see that they tie him up, and Glory, and he, you know, Spike is a lot of things, but one thing he is incredibly intuitive and incredibly fucking observant. So he's like clocking the situation the entire time this is happening. And, you know, who knows how long he's there, but it's not that long. He has figured out the way to get free, which is to piss this god off. So she knocks him across the fucking room, and he's clocked by like her appearance and everything, that she probably cares about the way she looks. So the way in is to just nail down on that patriarchy and go right for things like lopsided ass, perm. I think he calls her like the god of bad home perms, right?
Yes.
He uses the word skanky, which is very unfortunate.
Very of the time.
A very 2003. Where are we? 2001? A very 2001.
There are bits of this episode that, just thinking now of like my ever-changing and shifting relationship to Joss Whedon, there are things about this episode and even just the existence of the Buffy Bot that feel very specifically him. I don't know. I don't have any intel about who pitched what in the writer's room.
Right.
Might have been Marty Noxon who pitched a Buffy sex spot. Who knows?
Yeah.
But like,
we'll find out, I hope. We'll ask you, Marty.
Yeah. It feels very of Joss Whedon and like his approach to women, which I like. There are moments in the show that the bad parts of that come through, and there are moments of the show where, you know, people do an amazing job, and it's like an amazing narrative. Like it's complex.
Totally. Well, and I think like some of what's interesting about the way that people take in Buffy specifically, but a lot of Joss Whedon's work, is that like the overarching theme is like this badass woman slayer, like turning the narrative on its head. And so if you're not like critically thinking past that, you're thinking like you don't look as closely. And I mean, I'm talking from like a a gender perspective specifically, but like in so many ways, when you start to really think about what wasn't being paid attention to in so many instances, and like the lens that he fucking brings to a room just by the fact that he's like a cis white dude.
It's just like the fact like so many people wouldn't think to like only take the like sex parts of your leading woman and like literally make a sex robot and make her act it and make her as the sex object. Like that's just an interesting thing to me, and I'm not even completely demonizing it. Like I think it's an interesting thing that the show does, and an interesting way to show Spike's relationship to Buffy. But it's just it comes with a new angle on it as our relationship to Joss ages by the minute.
Yes. You can go back and look through like, and there's also like a larger body of work too, right?
Yes,
that like
exactly.
once there's more, you can see things that repeat. And
like Firefly, which I know Kristin hasn't seen. I don't know if you've seen it, Alanna. So in the world of Firefly, there's an occupation called companion, which is basically like a
courtesan type of thing?
Courtesan, literally a companion, somebody you can hire to spend time with or have an intimate relationship with or whatever, but it's a paid position, and it's the kind of thing in the society as it stands in Firefly that's like revered. It's like a position of great like power and respect. And actually like, the companion on the show nests her like micro ship on this bigger ship that's kind of like always running around the universe doing crime. And they use her, sway to be able to get into places they wouldn't normally be able to because she has so much, social capital. But the male lead, even though he is like in love with that character, still will say like slut-shaming things to her, which is just, a really interesting choice to like go to all the trouble to like be like, look how progressive I am. I built this world where sex workers are revered, but we're still gonna have the main guy like shitting on her from time to time.
Right.
Yeah. Right. It is like there is a fascination that I think he has with wiles, and I think that he would use the word wiles. He seems like a wiles and just and with kind of a like Madonna whore type of thing of like, Buffy's gonna have sex, but the second that she does, her boyfriend's gonna turn massively abusive. Like, which seriously. Like I think that storyline is amazing and groundbreaking in so many ways. Like that's not to just shit on it, but like there's a complicatedness to the way that he relates to women that I think has become more and more clear every passing year. And it's not completely like you can completely damn it forever, but then it's also like his script for Wonder Woman. There's a lot there. It's very revealing.
Right. Well, and that, I mean, there's so much power too in like the way that you just phrased that like, I'm not shitting on it. There are really good parts about this, and it was groundbreaking in a lot of ways, but you can like hold something for what you appreciate it for and also hold it accountable for the things and the places where it failed. And I think that is something, especially with like, fandom, that people really struggle with that concept that like, it can be a both and, is that what you call it? We can do both things.
Listen, I love the show so much. I will watch so many fan videos. Like I'll stan it forever. but it is also like, okay, but there's also this other element that maybe we should talk about sometime. Just bring it up.
Well, from there, we should probably talk about Bob Barker. I mean, I know I'm dying to talk about Bob Barker. All I want to say about this, so there's Spike is like, okay, I'll fucking tell you. He's like, weaseled his way around. Like, I need a glass of water. No, you don't. You're a fucking vampire. The fact that Glory even bought that is a joke, right? But he's sort of buying time. And Glory is like, so tell me who the key is. He's like, okay, I'm going to tell you. it's that guy from that show. And the minions are beside themselves excited. Like, we know now what the minions do on their off time. They're just watching the fucking Price is Right. But the thing that really tickles me, and maybe you have more like sort of behind the scenes intel on this. I'm not sure where like writers' rooms overlap with like legality, but I just want to know, like, to use Bob Barker's name, I imagine they had to get clearance. And I want to know if that was true, like what that conversation was, you know?
I don't even know. Yeah, I don't even know. Like, I don't even know if they'd have to get clearance. I know that for like brands, you often have to get like some sort of clearance.
I guess the question becomes, is Bob Barker a brand? Yeah.
Exactly. That's a lot. There's a lot to unpack there.
All right. Well, meanwhile, at the Summers residence, Buffy Bot goes upstairs and real Buffy comes in, and she's in her little brown post-desert outfit. And she's like, hey guys, what's going on? And they're like, we really have to fucking talk to you.
We're just kind of thrown by you having sex with Spike. The who, whatting, how with huh? Okay, that's denial. That usually comes before anger. I am not having sex with Spike. Anger.
But yeah, she's like, what the fuck are you talking about? And enter the Buffy Bot. And there's some amazing like callbacks to old episodes where Xander's like, I know this one. I've seen this episode. They're both Buffy.
Dude, she is so disgusted with them because they can't tell her apart from a robot, which is very
valid.
Yes.
Super fucking valid.
Like, where's the like, oh, maybe she's under a spell. They're always under spells. They didn't even think of that.
Right?
They're just like, grief,
the last time she was in love with Spike, it was literally a spell of some kind.
Literally. Yeah. Like, we've already seen that episode too, yes.
Like, oh, it's the same spell. We got to do it. We got to figure it out.
I love Anya taking a moment to appreciate how well done Buffy Bot is.
Yeah.
Anya loves fine craftsmanship.
Yeah, my favorite is when they like lay both Sarah Michelle Gellar side by side, and she's like, she's not even well done. She's so poor.
Yeah, they're all like, copy.
Yeah.
I do like that they take the robot with them to fight this battle, because like the robot is a great fighter. And she seems a lot more sort of like, I should say she seems a lot less singularly focused than the robot we initially met, because the Warren robot would have killed all of them if they heard any bad language, if she heard any bad language about Warren, and this one like knows that they're going in, that they don't really have Spike at the top of their list, and still goes along sort of with them to like help the gang. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Well, I guess like that's like I can turn around and unsay what I said earlier about like, why did Spike have all of this like Buffy, like real Buffy Slayer programming? Like, good thing it's in there. Good thing she has the moves and like the team spirit.
Right.
Yeah, and like I guess something that Spike is attracted to Buffy about is that she is this big hero. Mm-hmm. So I guess like maybe that is to him like an integral part for her to show.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And because the Buffy Bot, I mean, the Buffy Bot's end comes because she helps Giles by her
Giles.
Spike, what the hell?
It's so funny though. Like,
or actually, is it Spike or is it Warren?
I don't
Warren
know.
doesn't know how to say Giles.
I want the headcanon. Like, I truly want the headcanon to be that like Spike spent like 98% of his time like making sure that Buffy knew everything, but then just like 2% of his time knowing that like maybe this would happen and maybe it would fucking piss Giles off. But yeah, the fight, when the fight is happening, it's like Giles needs help. And it was really striking to me, even in my rewatch of it, to see that the Buffy Bot Spike is in the elevator and he's real fucked up. And the Buffy Bot turns around and goes to help Giles. And that's how she winds up getting clocked by a minion and short-circuiting. So I think, there's obviously code written into this bot that aligns with what Spike loves so much, like you said, Alanna.
So after Spike pries his way into that elevator, I'm assuming there's like one elevator shaft set on this lot that we've seen before for the Initiative and probably on a bunch of other shows. But he pries those doors that are shut open and flops himself down on top of the elevator that's already on its way to the lobby. And then as the doors open at lobby level, there's a frickin' hobbit there already. However, the squad has arrived. Reinforcements are here to help.
Yeah. Also, something that I think is very fun is that the way they find fucking Glory's place in the beginning from the first place is by being like, where'd that fucking giant snake go? I think it went that way. Like, talk about fucking map quest. They're like, there's a big slithering path where the giant CGI snake. But yeah,
God,
and
living in that town must be so weird.
I mean, it's just like, remember, they've all forgotten it already. They have already erased that from their brains. I feel, Jenny, that this fight is infuriating to you. Jenny has a long-standing history on this show of not understanding why the fuck people use crossbows.
Oh, the crossbow? Enter with crossbow. Enter with the thing that fucking has one projectile loaded into it that takes time to reload when you are perfectly equipped to use swords, battle axes, your fists, a stake. Literally any object laying around a room would be more effective than these fucking crossbows they insist on using. I want to see the line item in the seasonal budget for like crossbow expenses.
Right.
I cannot.
I would rather even just a bow and arrow. It feels like you can just whip it more out. And also it's cooler looking in my opinion.
Agree. Hard agree. Is there any behind the scene writer's room reason that you could possibly think of why we would see a fucking crossbow so much?
I'm assuming they were just very into crossbows.
They do look cool. They're just not effective, usually. Okay, so as I was saying, the Buffy Bot shorts out. They win this battle, if you can call it a win. I mean, I think everyone is aware that Glory is not going. Like, they don't want to mess with Glory. They just want to get Spike out. And they get back to the magic box. Giles and Xander have dropped Spike off at his crypt. And even Xander, like, how fucking rough Spike is for Xander to have any kind of sympathy or empathy for Spike. And he does. He's like, I really don't like that fucking guy, but he was like very, very fucked up when we left him at the crypt. And essentially they need to find a way to find out if Spike has told Glory about Dawn.
Without asking Spike directly because they don't trust whatever he would say, of course.
Right. This is like I don't know. It's like when people are like, so Spike, you like Spike? I'm like, this is like, it's a moment like that. These are the moments that I'm like, I can't help it. How can you not just devour this scene?
Yeah. Like, he's like mostly revolting the rest of the episode. And then you get to this and you're like, it was all worth it. I forgive you.
But it's so his character is so fucking complicated because you really don't have a read on him, and every time you think that you do, either he or the writers, whoever we want to point the finger at, turn us in the other direction again. And also, before we get into like weeping about this scene, Sarah Michelle Gellar playing Buffy, playing the Buffy Bot.
Yes.
The fact that there is no Emmy for this person is simply a travesty. She's incredible. And like her fucking like lines when she walks in, even she's like, "You're covered in sexy wounds. Willow fix me. She's gay." Like she just nails it. Which I think, like, maybe I'm reading too far into it, but I was just thinking watching it today, like, if we're to believe that Buffy knows how Spike would have programmed the Buffy Bot, like, talk about, like, a level of intimacy. Like, not only knowing this vampire, but also knowing, like, the pieces that he would, like, kind of, like, want, like, the pieces that he values in himself and the things he wants and what have you. And, again, I don't want to, like, I know that this is, like, a written show. I know that these are not real people, but I just thought that it was powerful that, like, she, as funny as those lines are, it's like she nailed it. It's exactly what the fucking Buffy Bot would have said. It's exactly what Spike would have wanted the Buffy Bot to say. So she asks him, why did you let Glory hurt you? And because we like to make people cry here, I think we're going to hear Spike answer that question.
anything happened to Dawn, it'd destroy her. I couldn't live her being in that much pain. Let Glory kill me first. Nearly bloody did.
How dare they?
I know.
He's so good at like being emotionally like he's just so he was like this with Drusilla too. Like Spike's way of loving is like all or nothing, which is complicated in a lot of ways. But in like moments like this, when he's fucking telling the truth, like he would have died.
Like he spends all his time thinking about Buffy and what's going to hurt Buffy. And like half the time he like his demon side takes over and he's like upset about feeling the things. And so he's like, well, then I'll kill her.
Yeah. Yeah.
and then I won't have to worry about what she's feeling because she'll just be dead. and then the other half of the time he's like, but is she sad? I should go check on her.
Spike is like the ultimate cat. He's just like constantly falling on his face and pretending he's actually giving himself a bath.
Yeah, he's like he's knocking the like water glass off the desk, but then he's like, "I'm sorry,
I didn't know I'm a cat."
It's very like I do have like part of me has complaints about I don't think that the show's writing of like vampires and souls and soul versus soulless is even. I don't know that they had a handle on their own mythology with that, but with Spike, most of the time, not all of the time, it like plays well. Like it's like I love watching him straddle that line.
Yeah, we all do. Well, I don't want to speak for everyone, but I think everyone here in this digital room feels the same.
It's just it's very compelling. It's like Angel has a very on or off switch when it comes to evil and like love. Whereas Spike is like he's always loving. He's always like in the act of love, even when like the rest of him is the soulless murderer. Like that's the thing that never leaves him, even when you strip everything else away. And sometimes that goes to the worst, and sometimes it's like, oh yes,
right. Great. Well, I didn't think I could feel any more intensely about the character of Spike until you delivered that to us, Alanna.
Yeah, what the hell?
Yeah.
Now there's another thing in my eye. Fuck.
Should really get that checked out, Jenny. You're really having a lot of stuff in your eyes.
I always have stuff in my eyes with this show. It's weird. So after he says that, he would have let Glory kill him first and nearly bloody did. The Buffy Bot, in quotes, bends down and kisses him, which lasts for a little bit before the recognition, blasts across Spike's face and he, kind of pulls back and is like, what?
That moment gets me so much.
It's so fucked up!
He immediately, just the trope of, immediately recognize, the Charmed also does this. There's an episode where there's a kiss and, the love interest is immediately like, that wasn't you. Versus this one where it's like, oh my God, no, that is really you. Like, this is the one I actually want to kiss. Like, he actually, out of making the Buffy Bot, out of all of that, he, actually does get to kiss Buffy. Had they kissed before?
Only in Something Blue, right?
Never.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, never. It's in Spike's dream.
Not this sweet little pet. But he immediately recognizes it. It's immediately this is really her.
Yeah, well, they have a connection, for better or for worse. I don't know what to tell you guys. I make
one
fun.
also imagines the Buffy Bot's base temperature and general
yes,
moisture levels
it might just
are probably
be
different.
Sure. Whatever, Jenny.
But yeah, sorry, I even brought it up.
Poppycock, moving along. But yeah, I don't know if I've told this story before. It's not a full story, but the first time that Jenny was talking about this episode to me and telling me, she was like, there's this episode, and she's describing it. This happens, and there's the Buffy Bot, and then this happens, and da-da-da-da-da. And as she's getting closer to the end, her whole face is just crumbling. And literally, I think you had to pause several times in talking through this last scene because you were hysterically crying.
Yeah, it's fucked up. You saw it.
It is. No, it is. There's a lot of emotion there.
It is a lot. there are like, I won't spoil which ones they are, but like there are definitely a handful of like just Spike and Buffy like quiet moments that feel very human, and they always get me.
100%. I mean, the moment that came to my mind that is in the back history of the seasons is when we just saw him sit down next to her on the step when her mom was really sick, and he like pats her fucking shoulder, like fucking.
But first he puts down the shotgun that he brought to kill her with.
He's literally one of those moments of like, I'm gonna go kill her, but actually no, I can't. I just need to make sure that she feels okay.
Yes.
It's just like, what a weird, compelling romance. Like, it's the weirdest one that I think it might be my weirdest ship. My weirdest canon, like somebody's in love with somebody else ship of like what, like there's so many layers to it.
Yeah, you really can just dig and dig and dig, and you just keep hitting more.
And it's so fucked up.
It is.
It also feels so necessary to both of their characters. It's yes.
Agree.
Yeah.
That's how we're ending it. We're not even gonna tell people where to find us. We're just all gonna like groan out.
As if that wasn't fucking enough. He like recognizes and like looks at her, and he's like, my robot, and she's like, that was gross and it is gone forever, and it wasn't even real. And then she fucking says,
What you did for me and Don, that was real. I won't forget it.
how dare you?
Oh my God.
How dare you? How fucking dare you?
It just ends with such deep respect between them, deep like emotional respect between them, which like, how does that episode end with that?
Right? How did we get here? It's like, truly, that is how you feel. Like, I was just watching an episode with like a fucking Buffy Bot and like a mountain lion and like a gourd, and then all of a sudden,
it's like when I cried at the end of the pacifier. It's like, I thought that this was just like a broad studio comedy with Vin Diesel. Why am I weeping?
Oh my God. Yeah, well, that's why we're all here, right? Like, that's like the magic of being on the inside of Buffy, is that like, this is why, because you can't explain it to people.
Yeah.
You have to just bring them to the light.
It's the whole journey. Yeah. It's like back to like season 2 and 3, and like their like long history together.
Totally. Well, I think we've talked about this an episode called Intervention. Alanna, was there anything else that we didn't touch on that you wanted to bring in? I want to make sure we get all. I
feel like we got to it.
Great.
I feel like everything else I would say would be spoilers for the future, because spoiler alert, I continue to have a lot of feelings. Yeah.
Well, speaking of getting to it.
Oh my God, that's right.
The one stone we haven't turned over is this episode's Sexual Tension Awards. Sexual Tension Award. Well, our episodic nominees for your consideration and voting upon are as follows. In the first slot, we have Anya watching Spike and the Buffy Bot in the cemetery, really having a blast. It's sort of like proto Pornhub, cemetery hub, if you will. She's having a blast. In the second slot, we've got Xander and Spike, specifically Spike's compact yet muscular body.
We didn't talk about it in the episode, but like, can we just have a minute for fucking that moment where Xander's like, listen, like, I really understand why you would want to run your hands all over that body.
How long has he been holding that in? Like, he's known Spike for a while. How long has he just been like,
that's hot. He loved Angel. He loved fucking Riley. He just
Xander's got like, he will never ever admit it to himself, but he's got some buy in him.
We want you to come on over to our side, man. Come on over here. It's great.
Learn from Willow.
Yes.
Yes. In the third spot, we've got Spike and actual Buffy for this deeply intense moment that the episode closes on. Breathe into a paper bag if you must, and then cast your vote. And in the fourth slot, holding it down, sharing a bond that none of us can probably fully understand. It's Giles and his gourd.
I will say that
gourd.
Giles has been sharing that bond with his gourd since the Tinfoil Initiative. I don't know if you remember.
Yes.
Giles held that gourd so tightly, ran through the initiative so that they could, do the enjoining spell. So, like, they have a long history together, is all I'm going to say.
Yes. So, if you'd like to make your voice heard in our beautiful democracy, please find this episode's Sexual Attention Award poll on our Twitter at BufferingCast. The poll will be up for 1 week from today.
Alanna, who are you going to vote for?
Who am I voting for? Oh my God, it's so hard. Because, like, on the one hand, we all know now how much Spike and Buffy get me in this episode. But also, I feel like I just have to go with Giles and the gourd. It's just like it's singular.
Yeah. Listen, it's a lot to think about, and luckily you have some time between, now and then and now, whatever.
Sexual Attention Award.
Alanna Bennett, perfect human, with us 2 weeks in a row. With this, it's just it. It's done now. You're on every episode. Welcome to the. Glad. I'm sure all you needed in your life was another podcast to be on, another task to do. But can you tell everyone where to find you and your work so that they can see you more, hear you more?
Yes. So Roswell, New Mexico, season 1 and 2 are on Netflix. I wrote for season 2, but season 1 is good too. And then I am also on Twitter way too much, and that is Alanna Bennett, ALANNA BENNETT.
And just in case you're wondering what some of that content is like, Alanna recently had a second cat enter her home with her first cat. So, like, there's some good shit happening over there.
Some good cat staring down content.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for being here with us. And Jenny and I are going to say where people can find us, even though they probably maybe know because they listen to this podcast. But then would you be so kind as to howl out with us at the end of the podcast? Alanna?
Howl?
Yes. So we howl like out. Wolves at the end. The general shape of it is an awoo. So you can just like get into your awooing headspace.
Yeah. I'm Jenny Owen Youngs, and when I'm not watching Buffy, I am usually writing and recording music. You can learn more about me at jennyowenyoungs.com. You could also give me a shout on Twitter at Jenny Owen Youngs, and you can listen to me talk about another petite blonde protagonist over on Veronica Mars Investigations.
Alanna's very excited.
That's one of my favorite shows. I will be listening to that.
Hell yeah. I am Kristin Russo, and when I'm not watching Buffy or Angel or any of the other things related to this conversation, I am generally working with LGBTQ communities. You can find out more about the work that I do on my website, KristinNoeline.com. That's KristinNoeline. I also have to spell my name, Alanna.
All the double consonants in mind.
Right. Yeah, there are. You can also use that spelling to find me on Twitter and on Instagram.
And Buffering the Vampire Slayers on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at BufferingCast, or you could drop us an email at bufferingthevampireslayer@gmail.com. Or, oh my God, you can leave us a voicemail at area code 216, that's Cleveland, 30BUFFY.
Is it Cleveland because of the other hellmouth?
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
I went really deep on my sourcing of that Google phone number.
That's amazing.
All right.
Another glorious episode. Until next time.
I had to find it there for a second.
Lately, it feels like I don't even know what is real. Head spun. gone. It's like every single thread is coming undone. What you did for me and my family, know that I can see that was real. That was real. I've been losing. Am I giving ground up? Am I slipping? Too wrecked to be tough. Half waiting for the earth to swallow me up. But what you did for me and my family, know that I can see that was real. That was real. I can't make sense of what you did. I just know that I won't forget what you did for me and my family. Know that I can see that was real. That was real. That was real. That was real.
Welcome to the small town of Chinook, where faith runs deep and secrets run deeper. In this new thriller, religion and crime collide when a gruesome murder rocks the isolated Montana community. Everyone is quick to point their fingers at a drug-addicted teenager, but local deputy Ruth Vogel isn't convinced. She suspects connections to a powerful religious group. Enter federal agent V.B. Lauro, who has been investigating a local church for possible criminal activity. The pair form an unlikely partnership to catch the killer, unearthing secrets that leave Ruth torn between her duty to the law, her religious convictions, and her very own family. But something more sinister than murder is afoot, and someone is watching Ruth. Chinook, starring Kelly Marie Tran and Sanaa Lathan. Listen to Chinook wherever you get your podcasts.
Nowadays, trends and news cycles change faster than we can blink. But there are some things that withstand the test of time. And if you're looking for a connection to something timeless, and maybe also a glimpse of life at a slower pace, I believe everyone can relate to the very human experiences explored in Jane Austen's novels. And that's where I come in. My name is Alison Larkin. I'm a writer, comedian, and narrator and host of the Jane Austen podcast with Alison Larkin. I spent a lot of my childhood in the part of England where Jane Austen lived and wrote, and now that I live in the States, nothing gives me a sense of homecoming quite like narrating her books. On this show, you'll listen to award-winning narration. I'll give myself a pat on the back for that, as well as conversations with actors, writers, and other fascinating people who all share a passionate love for Jane Austen. So please, join me as we embark on a wonderful journey through Jane Austen's work. Be sure to listen and subscribe to the Jane Austen podcast with Alison Larkin, wherever you get your podcasts.